Okay, so this problem here is a relatively complex stair problem, what we ended off with yesterday. Let's go ahead and see what we want to do with it. First thing we got to do, of course, is figure our total height or our total rise, which is how much here? Yeah, 103 1/8 plus 19 3/8, which is 122 1/2 inch. What's our next step? Find the number of risers, 122 1/2 divided by 7, which gives us 17.5. Now I purposely did that because it's exactly in the middle of 17 or 18. So let's try it. What do we normally do? Round up or down? Down to 17. Let's see what that'll give us at 17. So we're going to find our unit rise, or our proposed unit rise in this case, 122 1/2 divided by 17. $7.206. In other words, this comes out to be about 7 7/16. 3/16, thank you. 3/16. If you had gone 7 1/4 inch, you wouldn't be horribly far off. It's almost exactly between 3/16 and 1/4. It's really close. Here, let me show you. If I subtract the 7 times 16, 3.2, it is a little bit closer to 3. So, but it's in that range. So 7 3/16. Is that acceptable? Yeah, anything up to 7 1/2 is acceptable. So we're okay there. So that is going to be our unit rise, 7 3/16 of an inch. Now what?
If you had gone the other way, it would have been 6.8.
Yeah, so it'd be 6 13/16 or something like that. Either way would be acceptable, but we want to try to stay above 7. Just for efficiency. As long as you don't go over 7 1/2. Now, since this is going to have a landing in it, the first thing we got to figure out is how many treads we can have above the landing. This is 36 inches or 3 feet. How many feet are we going to have up here? 11. 14 minus 3. So 11 feet times 12 inches per foot is 132 inches. And then we're going to divide that by what? 11 inches to give us 12 treads. What does that mean for our number of rises? If it's 12 treads, it's 13 rises. Always one more rise than there are runs. So above the landing, there are 13 rises. Now we said we're going to have how many rises total? We said we're going to have how many rises total? 17. So that means if there's 13 above the landing, there's 4 below the landing. So that means how many treads? So 3 treads below the landing. Now the 3 treads below the landing don't necessarily affect our X. What affects our X is the height of the landing and our required head clearance. Now, what piece of information did I not give you in this problem? I was waiting for somebody to ask. The head clearance. Now let's go with a head clearance. I'm guessing nobody got that far, or you got that far and weren't sure if you needed it or not. 6'4". Okay, that's what I was going to say anyway. 6'4" minimum code. Now again, when I design, I always go 6'8", but a lot of times when you go 6'8", by the way, that just means your head clearance is at the bottom of the bottom tread. If you have a 8-foot ceiling below. So anyway, 6'4" head clearance. Let's take that plus, that's going to be 76 inches, right? Plus our floor thickness, which was what? 19 3/8. Gives us 95 3/8 inches is our required drop to get our head clearance. Now, what is our drop above the landing? Well, 7 3/16 times 13 rises. 13 rises times 7 3/16 each. Is 93 7/16. So what that means is we need how much more? Well, we're going to take our 95 3/8 minus 93 7/16 gives us 1 15/16 if we subtract. So we need a drop of 1 15/16 inches. How many risers is that going to be? I don't even need to divide this out, do I? If I divide that by 7 3/16, I'm going to get 0 point blah, 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 which means we round up to how many rises? 1. We need 1 rise. What that is telling us is the landing itself is only about 2 inches too high to give us our head clearance. We're only about 2 inches away from being able to go to the landing and turn and having the head clearance if the floor just stays at its height. So all that means is we have to go, if we have to go, we have to go a minimum of 1 tread, right? So what we're going to add to our 36 inches here is 11 inches. So X is 47 inches. Now the question comes up, well, if we need 1 rise, why don't we round that down? Why doesn't that go down to 0 treads? Well, after the landing, it just doesn't work that way. Now, technically, you probably could go like 1/3 of a tread and get enough off of it. But if you went 3 inches over, it'd be enough. But I usually go full tread. Okay, I'm sensing some confusion out there. Any questions? Basically, what this is saying is the landing itself is only 2 inches away from being low enough to make our head clearance. Because we need to drop 95 3/8 inches below the top of the floor. From the top of the floor, we need to get down 95 3/8 inches to get enough to get our head clearance below the bottom of the floor. The landing itself is at 93 7/8 inches. How'd you figure that out? Because we figured out the number of, from here we figured 11 feet would give us 12 treads. We figured that out. 12 treads gives us 13 risers. That was right here. 12 treads gives us 13 risers. So we took 13 times 13 risers times our unit rise of 7 3/16 gives us 93 7/16 is how far it's going to be from that upper level floor down to the landing. Because it's 14 feet total here, right? Subtract our 3 feet for the landing is 11 feet of run for the stairway. So 11 feet times 12 inches is 132 inches, right? Divided by 11 inches per tread gives us 12 treads. So that means 13 risers above the landing. There's a lot to that, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, why did you, the last part, you go back to the bottom, you divided 1 and 15/16?
Well, normally what we would do is we would take our required drop divided by the unit rise to get the number of risers required. But here we don't need to do that because that's this is less than 1 unit rise, so it's stupid to divide it out. All it's saying is we need to go down 1 more rise, so we have to go down 1 more tread.
You automatically go to 1 and
Yeah. If the landing isn't low enough, but it's less than 1 rise, you still have to go out 1 tread to get your head clearance.
So how did you get 46? 46 or whatever it was?
46. What do you mean 46?
For X. How did you...
Oh, 47? Well, because the landing is already 36 inches, and 1 more tread is another 11 inches. So just 36 plus 11 is 47 inches. Well, there's 4. That's for the stair opening is all. We're not talking about the treads to get down to the floor. There's actually 4 rises, so there'll be 3 treads. But you need to go 1 more tread out. So when you cut the stair opening, you can't just cut it straight across here. You got to cut 1 more tread out. So your railing has to go around like that. Give you head clearance. Now, to be honest, what I would do, remember what we talked about yesterday about, cheating within the floor, going up to the smaller joist? Rather than actually cutting the floor, I would run my railing straight across, and then I would just use a thinner header above the stairway so that I can get my head clearance. So I wouldn't have to have that little notch out in the upper level. So to be totally honest, that's what I would do. If you want to run your floor at full depth, you'd have to have that 11-inch notch out of it. To me, what I would do is I'd have my framing like this, and I'd just cut the end of this and put a header in across that's thinner. You have to have a support post underneath this here, of course. 2 by 6. Then I gain 4 inches. Yeah. I almost never use 2 by 10s as floor joists anymore. It's either a 2 by 12 or it's an eye joist or floor truss. Now here we had 19-inch floors, which means we're probably using a floor truss, an 18-inch floor truss of some sort. So then you got plenty of room. Okay, I want to throw one other one at you. See how you do with it. So now here what we have is like a split level type stairway. We have a landing and it turns around and comes back the other direction. So if you're going down from the top here and then turning and going down there. Now when you build these platforms, by the way, a lot of people think you're just putting in a rectangle. Hey, Scott. Okay, so when you build this platform down here, by the way, it's not, a lot of people think it's a simple rectangular platform. Can anybody tell me why it's not a rectangular platform? It ends up being built shaped like this. Do you know why? Because the stairway coming down from above has to have something to sit on. So that this section of the platform gets built out so it has something to sit on. Well, it's going to be a 4x8 sheet, then but you're going to notch it out over here. So this will be 3 feet here. You let the 12 inches stay out here and frame underneath it, so you got something to support that lower steps. That's one mistake a lot of people make, is they don't put anything there to support the stairway coming down. So we got steps there, and then of course coming off of here, going down. So we're going to have, of course this will be open above here, and this is the outside wall. The floor thickness here, we're going to make this 18 3/4. Our ceiling height here, we are going to make Oh, what do I want to do? $99.25. But here's the key. The homeowner wants this stair opening here to line up straight across. So it can actually have a step or two, past the stair opening down below, but they just want to have that wherever the top of the stair is here, they want to be able to have a wall here to seal off the stair opening. Does that make sense? And I'll make it easy. We'll have, if you're looking at it from above, here's the first step. Going down, we'll let the stair opening be here so the wall can be out here. So that gives you, 4 inches or so of a little edge on top, so you're not turning and being right at the edge of the steps. So that we're just looking at the stair open. The edge of the stair opening is at the top of that first drop. Well, we're going to dive in and figure this out just like we would for any other staircase. What is our total rise? Nine and a quarter plus 18 3/4. Which is going to give us 118 inches. So we're going to find our number of rises. 118 divided by 7, which is going to give us 16.85714.257 approximately. Yes? Two eight. You're right. It is 8.6. Yep. Sorry. So anyway, we're going to do 16 rises. Is what we're going to try to do here. 16 rises. What's the unit rise going to be? $118 divided by 16 is going to give us. That is 7 3/8. It actually comes out to be. Now, as we mentioned before, there are some cases where people do not want that extra 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch. Like we said, for our purposes, as long as you stay under 7.5, we're always going to round down the number of rises. We'd rather be slightly above, just for efficiency, we'd rather be slightly above 7 than slightly below 7. But if you have, dealing with elderly or people with, other physical impairments, there may be cases where you'd rather be below 7. So but I'm trusting that you guys could change that to a 17 and do the calculation just as easy, and it would be fine. 118 divided by 16? 7.375, right? Okay. So, what this means now, of course, we have 16 rises. How many treads do we have? 15 treads. Now, one of those treads is going to be the landing. So we technically have 14 treads. So your instinct is to say, well, 14 treads, we're going to put 7 treads above, 7 treads below, it's even. But that doesn't come out with our, remember we said the bottom staircase could go past the stair opening. They want the stair opening to be even, not necessarily the end of the stairway. So let's take a look at our required number of treads for a stair opening. So let's see the required drop. If we're going to use a 6'8", so 80-inch head clearance, plus our floor was 18 3/4, because it's 98 3/4 inches drop. So then the number of rises, required rises, $98 3/4 divided by 7 3/8 is going to be just under 14, right? sorry, under 14, 13.38, 13.39. So that's going to round up to 14 rises, which means we're going to need 13 runs, correct? Now remember, 13 treads. The landing counts as a tread. So we have the landing here. That's going to be 6 treads above, 6 treads below. Now remember, there's a total of 15 treads total. So that means that beyond the stair opening, there's still going to be 2 more treads on the bottom. So this landing is less than higher up than halfway. It's above the halfway point. But that does line up the stair opening with the top of that first stairway. So now we need to figure out what height that landing is going to go at. If that landing's at 6 treads, that means it's at 5 rises, correct? By the way, we're assuming 11-inch tread. So if we assume 36 inches here, this would be 66 inches for the, that's not 5 rises, is it? That's 7 rises, isn't it? 1 extra rise. Anyway, 66 inches, 6 times 11 for 6 treads. So this is going to be at 102 inches. Everybody see where I got the 102? First of all, does everybody see where I got the 6 treads and the 6 treads? 6 and, well, we had 13 runs, right? The landing counts as 1 run, so we're going to have 6 runs above, 6 runs below. And again, that's just the stair opening. We've already figured out we need 15 total runs to make the whole stairway. So there's going to be 2 that go beyond the stair opening down below. You look confused, Sean. Sean. Remember what we're talking about here, the 13 treads, the 13 runs is not the total stairway. That's just for the stair opening. So you have 6 above, you have the landing, then you got 6 below. That makes you 13. That's your stair opening. That doesn't mean the stairway doesn't keep going beyond that down below in the lower level. It just means we're going to start there in the upper level and we're going to end the opening there. But you can keep going below it. That's what they want, is that opening to be even. So that's they need 6 treads, which is 66 inches. So 6 times 11 is 66. Plus the 36 gave us 102 total inches from the inside of the outer wall to the top of that stairway. By the way, make sure that when you do these calculations, you consider the fact that the basement wall is thicker than your upper level wall. I've seen it done several times that when they drop their plans, they say, well, inside of this wall, this is a 2x6 wall, so it's with sheetrock at 6 inches. And they bring their 102 inches off of that, but you got to remember your basement wall is going to be either 8 or 10 inches thick. So you've got to add, it's the basement wall that you're going to be going off of, not the upper level wall. So anyway, we need to find the height of that riser. That's going to be 7 runs, or 7 rises, I should say. 6 runs, so 7 rises below the top of the floor. So 7 times 7 and 3/8 is 51 5/8 inches. You got it. That's from the floor down to the top of the platform. From the platform down to the bottom, then is going to be, we have 118. So 66 3/8 down. That should reflect those 2 extra rises down below. What do you guys think? You guys want to try one of these? I know you do. No?
I ain't saying nothing.
You're not saying nothing. Well, here's what we're going to do. We have a quiz on hips, valleys, and stairs I'm going to hand out. Rest assured, your stairs is going to be a straight stairway, no landings. I wouldn't do that to you. I am going to make up an extra credit sheet here quick, though, that I'm going to give you to take home over the weekend with this stuff in it. Since I know you guys all want to give it a shot.
You just don't. Is the quiz table?
We should be able to finish it up. We'll see how it goes.